This video is on the Sonus Faber Duetto all-in-one powered speaker pair. Let's get started. Sonus Faber set out to make a pair of speakers that would bring their legendary sound to a new audience of people who wanted a good stereo pair of speakers that could stand on their own. Sonus Faber makes some of our favorite speakers in the world. They're both incredibly natural sounding, but are also some of the most beautiful speakers that you can find. And for good reason. Sonus Faber is an Italian company known for some of the world's best speakers, selling for up to $250,000 a pair. And if you've ever seen a Sonus Faber speaker in person, you know what we mean when we say that they have a stunning appearance designed to complement anyone's home. Now, when we first heard about the Duetto, we were hoping to get a pair in advance to check out before their official release. After just a few bars, we can tell you they have succeeded in bringing that wonderful, natural Sonus Faber sound into a speaker that will make a whole new group of music lovers very happy. With a long history of building some of the most beautiful speakers you will ever see, it is no surprise that the Duetto follows in this heritage. It's also really cool how they incorporated technology needed to make it sound great into the design. When you look at a Duetto from the top, it looks like the shape of a lute. The beautifully matched veneer walnut finish is even mirror imaged from the front and back. These come in two colors. One is a walnut finish and the other is the walnut painted with a matte graphite finish. The rear of the speaker is sleek with just the innovative port showing. And all of the input and power connections are tucked away in a recessed section on the rear. Like a lot of their speakers, the top is graced with black Italian leather, with the main speaker having touch controls embedded into the leather. The black grille also looks a bit like a lute, and this is one speaker we did prefer the look with the grills on, as they are just so elegant. The Duetto was designed to reach quite deep down into the bass region and is not exactly a tiny speaker. They stand about 14 inches tall, 11 inches wide, and 8 inches deep. They will work best on their dedicated speaker stands, but should be fine on top of a credenza or even in a deep bookcase with fine tuning that you can do through the app. The Duetto comes with a small remote, and for quick access, you have the Sonus Faber Senso system on top of one speaker. This has a few lighted lines and 3 buttons that serve several purposes. These allow you to change volume, skip, play pause, and change sources all from the top of the speaker. There are a lot of possible sources, so Sonus Faber color codes each one. I quickly learned the color codes of my favorites, and if you don't want to see these bars, you can dim them or completely turn them off with the remote. I do have to call out the harder than normal challenge of putting a battery in the remote. You need a long straight paper clip you insert into a tiny hole, then feel around for a clip inside which will release the cover. Fortunately, you will not need to do this very often, but we hope to see them address this in the future. The Duetto has some of the best connectivity that I've ever seen in an all-in-one powered speaker. It combines the best of streaming possibilities with wired connection options. HDMI ARC is becoming pretty common on better powered speakers, and it's here on the Duetto. You will want to set your TV output to PCM since it is a 2-channel system, but the Duetto will offer a massive improvement to your TV sound. Vinyl lovers will appreciate the built-in Phono preamp, and if you are not using the analog inputs with a turntable, you can push a button to make them a standard aux input for something like a CD player. Now, if your TV does not have an HDMI ARC connection, you can still get TV sound to it using the Toslink optical input. For streaming services, the Duetto has you covered with Chromecast, Apple AirPlay 2, Bluetooth aptX HD, with Tidal and Spotify Connect on board as well. Roon is present too, which will make Qobuz fans happy that have a Roon subscription. And if you are a fan of voice control, Siri and Google Assistant are supported. After you get the Duetto on your network, which is a snap, you'll want to scan the QR code on the back of the manual to bring up a fantastic setup app. This will let you really dial in the Duetto and allow you to seamlessly blend in a subwoofer as well. First, there's a very fine adjustment slider for high frequencies. The room that we tested ours in was a little live, and we found that we liked them set at -1.5 dB. Next is what they call their loudness maximizer. This will boost the bass at very low volumes and decrease that boost as the volume increases. If you are listening to them off center, there's a balance slider for fine tuning as well. They have another feature I love to see on all-in-one speakers. With the push of a button in the web interface, you can flip the channels if you prefer the main to be on the left. You can also do this with a push of a button on the bottom of the speaker. Now there is a room placement selection for near a wall or away from a wall as well. This will help you get the Duetto from getting boomy if it gets too close to a wall, and with their great deep bass, that is a very important feature to have on these. Finally, they just have some fantastic settings for adding a subwoofer. You can adjust where the frequency gets removed from the Duetto and goes to the sub. This can make a world of difference in getting them dialed in with a sub, and you can go from 50 Hz to 150 Hz. Almost all subs have a gain control on their amp in the rear, but for fine-tuning the blend, you get plus or minus 5 dB to really get the blend right from your listening position. And if that were not enough, there's even a subwoofer delay of up to 20 milliseconds to let you totally integrate a subwoofer with the Duetto. Moving over to the components in the speaker that make for its fantastic sound, the Duetto is a two-way system with custom drivers designed by Sonus Faber. The 1-inch dome tweeter uses a copper cap and silk dome with a large waveguide to control its directivity. The 4.5-inch long throw woofer uses neodymium magnets and has a coated version of their cellulose diaphragm material specially designed for this application. Now these are bi-amplified using some serious internal power amps. The amp for the tweeter is a 100 watt per channel Class AB amp, while the one for the woofer is a 250 watt Class D power amp. While you cannot see it, there's a really neat porting system inside the Duetto made out of aluminum. It has a unique curved shape that they developed, and it also is part of the heatsink for the power amps. Now the Sonus Faber engineers did some serious listening tests on the DACs that are used inside the Duetto. They actually needed two, one set for the main speaker and another to handle all the great subwoofer controls. They picked a premium ESS Sabre DAC for the main job and an AKM DAC to handle the subwoofer. This just shows their total dedication to getting the best possible sound they could. Like all smart speakers, the Duetto needs to be set up to work with your network. Sonus Faber made this really easy. Apple users can use the Apple Home app and add it as an accessory, and Android users can use the Google Home app. Then you'll need to pair the two speakers and scan the QR code on the back of the manual to get to the setup interface. The dedicated stands coming out were not available yet, so we placed them on some 24-inch tall stands and positioned them in about an equilateral triangle to our main listening spot. We later moved them to the top of a long credenza to check out the boundary controls, which did work great. From the first notes, the Duetto will show you why many people love the sound of Sonus Faber speakers. And in many ways, we felt these sounded better than some of their passive bookshelf speakers. Bi-amping a speaker like they've done with the Duetto just has so many advantages. You have no passive crossover in the way, and the amps inside are specifically designed for the speaker driver that they're connected to. The Duetto has a completely effortless sound in the top end and upper mid-range that rivals some of the much more expensive Sonus Faber models to our ears. And if you set them up so that you're sitting equal distance from each speaker, the soundstage will extend outside the speaker with tons of front-to-back depth. The Duetto totally disappeared, giving a huge soundstage. As to be expected with a 4.5-inch bass driver, bass was limited, but what is there gives you the feeling of weight you expect to hear from a full-range speaker. It is not as defined as larger speakers, but very pleasant nonetheless. The first cut we tried was a high-res redo of Riders on the Storm by The Doors. If you know this song, it starts out with a thunderstorm, and this was just spooky good on the Duetto. Every sound was placed eerily in a big three-dimensional space. When Jim Morrison's vocals came in, he was dead center with the resolving power of the Duetto, letting us hear all the micro volume inflections in his voice that on a great system give it just such a haunting sound. The cymbals also just felt amazingly effortless. Next up was Look Out for My Love from Neil Young's latest release, Chrome Dreams. On this cut, Neil Young's vocals are full of all kinds of emotion that a great system will let you hear. Like the previous track, the Duetto let through all of those small dynamic and harmonic changes with ease. Now another great cut was from Joni Mitchell at Newport. In this live performance, Big Yellow Taxi comes off as just a ton of fun. There are several famous backup singers doing vocals on this track, and they are not all perfectly in sync with each other, which gives it that great live feel. The Duetto also captured the big feeling of space you expect from a live outdoor performance. And just for grins, we had a Rel TX9 sub close by, so we decided to pair it up with the Duetto. The bass, as you would expect, was much tighter, faster, and deeper. But the big deal was taking the bass away from the 4.5-inch driver, and that made a huge improvement to the mid-range. It became even more effortless, making it easier to hear all those tiny dynamics that make great speakers sound closer to live music. While this combination is not inexpensive, the sound it offered was probably better than almost anything you could put together with a streamer, amp, and passive pair of speakers. The Sonus Faber Duetto is an incredible all-in-one speaker system. Offering connectivity for many applications, I see it going into many different environments where a music lover wants great sound with the simplicity of not needing other components to produce that incredible sound. And should you want to add a fast subwoofer, you will have a world-class audio system that rivals expensive separate components, but brings the beautiful look of Italian-designed gear into your home. Now, there are obviously far less expensive ways to go in the powered speaker world, but Sonus Faber has nailed it with the Duetto. You get the sound that made them famous in a simple package that will add a touch of elegance to your home. And if you have more questions about the Sonus Faber Duetto or any other audio or video gear, reach out to us at audioadvice.com and we'd be happy to help you out. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and turn on the notifications so you don't miss out on any of our latest content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.